All right, class, I want to talk quick about Arduino IDE, the interface in which we use to code. We went over this kind of in class, but we rushed over it. We were just trying to figure out if we can get our boards attached, all those little issues that we were having before. But typically when you open up Arduino IDE, it's going to open up the last thing you were working on. In this case, there's Blink 4, and I have some buttons here, some established integers, the void setup like we talked about, and that void loop. But in this case, we don't want to work on this. We want to work on something new. So if this might help you, you might want to work on something new. If you want to work on something new, you want to go File, New Sketch. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go File, New Sketch. It's going to bring up a whole entire new window here. And it brings up that basic boilerplate, the void setup, and the void loop. So typically when I start, I just put a couple enters here, and I'll end up going to the first line there, and I'll put some comment lines with the 2 backsplashes, and I'll say title. And then below that, I might put the date. I might put today is 9/23/25. And then I might put notes. And so notes will tell us descriptions, will tell us anything we need to know about this, or more, anything, so more. So you just put those notes in there. You kind of have your title at the top. It's a good rule of thumb to put the date, the title, and some notes about what you're working on. And then you can leave this space empty. I always put a couple enters here to kind of organize myself. And then we end up with our basic setup and loop. This is just a rule of thumb. You can do whatever you want. It just makes it easier to kind of look at when you first open up this file. But with that said, we're going to go File, Save As, because this thing is not saved. If we go here, we hover over this, it's going to say unsaved sketch, this. It's not going to save. It's going to go off into the ether, into nothing, if we don't hit File, Save As. And here we can I'm going to put it as title, just for now. And now we have our sketch saved, at least at this point. The one thing you're going to want to do, and I noticed this when firing up, I probably did this years ago, completely forgot about this, but under File, you want to say File Preferences. And this is crucial because what you want to do is there's something that says Editor Quick Suggestions and Autosave. You're going to hit Autosave and have that selected, and then Quick Suggestions, Editor Quick Suggestions. And then you're going to want to say, okay, once you do this once, you never have to do this again. So it's File, Preferences, Autosave, and Edit Quick Suggestions. You're going to have those two selected and then hit OK. What that's going to do is, I saw this when we were working in class. We're going to go tab, pin. So now when I type in pin or the start of something, like I could say void, or I could say pin, or I could say anything like that, it's going to bring up this prompt. And it's going to say, hey, do you want any of those pins? Do you want any of our analog pins? Do you want these SPI pins, or the digital pins here on your board? Well, this makes it easy so that you can click on this and it auto prompts this already, so you can code faster. The other thing you can do with this is you type pin, and the thing that's highlighted, so I can select like this with my arrow keys, right, up and down on my keyboard, arrow keys, and I can highlight something, and then I can hit tab, and then it auto-propagates it. Don't forget Control Z. So it auto-propagates it, and once you already put a pin mode and like what it is. So pin mode, we're going to put pin 8, and the next thing we're going to do here is back that off, and we're going to put pin 8 as an output. See, now I can put out. Well, has to be uppercase. Right, and then input. See, input pull up or input, right? And I say hit tab, and I put this as pin, 13. And then make sure you put those semicolons. This is we're just messing around here, just showing you some stuff. So once you have that suggestion selected, it makes it coding really easy, right? The other thing I want to show you here in the UI is we already talked about your drop-down menu for your board select. You have your 2 buttons here for verify. This will just verify the code, make sure that it has all of the semicolons, make sure the code actually works and makes sense in coding language. It might not work because we need to code things properly, but it'll at least have all of our semicolons. It'll compile, right? And then we have upload to our board when we have our board selected. So there's those two buttons. The other thing you're going to want to do is here under edit, we have font size increase and font size decrease. We also have increase indent, decrease indent. And so you can select here and we increase the size of our font. We can also hit Control plus or Control minus, Control plus, Control minus. We can increase or decrease the size of the font. The other thing is here is we talked about the indent. If we highlight this area and we want to say edit, increase indent. Edit, increase indent. So what this does is put little indents in here as if I was to put, if I was to say tab, 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 I can move that cursor in, or if I'm down here, I can say tab, 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 or I can say double space, whatever it is. What that's for is for organizing your sketch, organizing all your code. So it kind of indents everything over and we can kind of organize how everything formats out so you can easily look at it and read it better. All right. So there's that. And then under sketch here, we still have verify and compile, just like this button here, right here. Or we have upload, which is just like this button here. And then that's pretty much, we can include libraries. The other thing that you put up here underneath your comments here is you can go, I think it's hashtag include header, or you'll have to do this because what this does is hashtag include math.h, right? So certain files or certain libraries you'll need to include later on. And so then you'll also put like ints here or floats, not an EEPROM float, but just different things you'll put up here before the code. But that's like in here, we can go libraries, we can search through all that stuff. And then you have tools. In tools here, if you have issues with your board, you can go down here and you can manage your boards here, or your COM ports here. Just another area to manage your stuff. You can also, depending on what board you're working with, oops, I didn't want to do that. Depending on what board you're working with, there's certain boards, they might need a different programmer. So we're going to mostly work with the default one because of our Arduino Uno. So we really don't have to worry about this. But just something later is when you're messing with different boards that have different chipsets on them, you might need to select your programmer. The other thing we're going to need is the serial monitor. This serial monitor is for when we're actually like trying to read stuff from the board, like if we're trying to read prompts, read language, if we're programming for a display, a screen, and we're not having it come up properly, we can have that same thing pulled up and printed on our monitor and kind of compare things and see why things aren't working, right? So the serial monitor up in tools, you're going to want to know how to get to. And then I think that's pretty much it. So that's your basic UI. Over here, we have our sketchbook, which has all of our sketches. We can hit new sketch. And then here is your board managers. This is just another way to get out all your different boards if we're working with different boards. You really don't have to worry about this. Libraries, you're going to have to search here for different libraries, and we'll walk through this in class when we actually do this, but these are just buttons that you'll need to be able to click the library manager. And then we'll be able to grab different libraries here depending on what we're doing and install them. So that is that. Libraries, board manager, and projects. You're really into minimize this, you just click on it again and it goes out of the way. But you'll really need to only use this library manager, and we'll go through that in class. So there's that. That's your basic UI, and we'll leave it from there.